Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss an interesting resignation letter from a Yorkshire-based Reform UK chair. Despite Reform UK gaining several defections from other parties, mostly Conservatives, which Farage loves because it means power without having to bother with those troublesome elections, but the party is also losing prominent activists as well. And this resignation is quite interesting because it sets out two key concerns which, if shared widely by activists within the party, will prove to be a very limiting factor on Farage's ability to turn out the grassroots for major election campaigns. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So, it's a fair amount of turmoil within Reform UK right now. You could see them as growing pains. They began as a fringe counter-establishment group, which grew far larger and more quickly than similar groups, thanks to that top-down promotion that they get from the mainstream media. Similar groups are far too niche to ever work their way to popular support, and there's no good reason why media outlets would give them free publicity when no one's really interested in them. But Reform UK, like the Brexit Party, like UKIP before it, were able to grow despite that niche support, not because they actively worked on a wider appeal by, forming alliances on common interests with other groups. No, just because they formed a symbiotic relationship with the media. The media would uncritically platform them, and in return, they would get plenty of eyeballs with drama and controversy. But this has brought the party as far as it's likely to get. It won a large proportion of the popular vote at the last election, but only on a par with what UKIP achieved in 2015. 2024 was more successful, of course, because they won 5 seats on the back of that vote rather than just one. They need to win more seats, a lot more. But in a first past the post system, the way to do that is to prioritise winning broader support in a smaller number of seats over the raw vote count across the country, which is meaningless. And this is causing a few problems, which a resignation letter from the interim chair for Reform UK in Rishi Sunak's constituency highlights. After wasting a few paragraphs trying to plug his own political credentials, as most politicians do when making such statements, which is why the letter's 3 bloody pages long, Matthew Cook set out his reasons for resigning in what is a fairly beefy letter. Now, when you read the entire letter, you can see, okay, there's various factors which are played on this guy's mind here. But he chose to single out 2 particular reasons. The first is one we've seen cited quite a few times recently, that Nigel Farage leads Reform UK in an autocratic way, as he put it. Now, these accusations have been levelled at the party from within a lot since the party changed its legal status with Companies House. And I think this is probably because activists believed Nigel Farage when he said he would be transferring ownership to the members. But then, he carried out this fudge, and it's like, okay, you no longer own the party. Okay, that's true. But you still control it completely. So now they realise he had no intention of transferring ownership to the members at all. And we're certainly getting the impression that having some input into the running of the party is a big deal for a lot of activists, which is totally understandable. Activists don't get paid. Okay, Reform UK employ some like managers and other staff, sure. But most of the people making the campaign machine work at the local level, just like in any party, are doing it voluntarily. It's reasonable for people sinking so much time and energy into the campaign to expect some agency over at least some aspects of it. Why do people get involved in politics? Ultimately, because they want their voice to be heard. Whereas with Reform UK, the deal is, okay, so I tell you what, you volunteer for our campaigns, and in return, you get to volunteer for our campaigns without any say in how they're conducted or even who conducts them. Now, this is an increasingly noisy gripe from reform activists. And remember, it's the activists who are really important here, not the members in general. Doesn't matter if polling shows that most members are happy with how Farage is running the party. What matters are the members who are actively involved in their campaigns. After all, Reform UK membership fees are very low, which will be partly why they were able to get so many. The money will not go very far. So what Farage needs are people who volunteer their time to knock on doors, deliver leaflets, stand in the high street promoting their candidates, and of course, standing as candidates themselves, whilst trying to avoid using Nazi slogans if at all possible. For some of them, it's quite challenging. In other words, I'm distinguishing between simple members who pay a few quid, but they're just otherwise watching the telly, and activists who are putting in time and effort, as well as probably even more money. But there was a second reason given, and I've not seen this as commonly cited, so I'm not sure how widespread this particular feeling is. But if it is a common complaint, it's quite bad news for Reform UK's unity. Cook expressed his disappointment with allowing in Remainers, Liberal Democrats, Labour, Conservative members. Now, he will mean former members, of course. This sort of ultra-tribal attitude exists everywhere, of course. I mean, I've seen plenty of it in Labour, and you see evidence of it in other parties as well. It's this sense of political purity, which must be protected at all costs. But it's also very self-defeating. Are Reform UK in power right now? No, they are not. Do they want power? Yes, they do. Or they say they do. So how are they going to get it without appealing to people who in the past have been Remainers or supporters of other political parties? You know, is their plan that the way to get power is to just hope that anyone who opposed leaving the EU or voted for a different party in the past all suddenly have a migraine on polling day and stay in bed? Because I have to say, this is not a sound strategy. It's like even worse than my wife's idea to give up work by winning the lottery. I mean, at least that is possible, if incredibly unlikely. Cook has expressed a sentiment of wanting the party to only include people with a very specific set of beliefs and past political behaviour. But if they do, if the party and the activists and the candidates are only formed from that very, very niche group of people, then its appeal to voters is going to be similarly quite narrow. Now, if Farage agreed with this, by the way, and ran the party according to that sentiment, Reform UK would not be a threat to anyone. So obviously he's not going to. But if this attitude is felt more widely and more strongly by more of the core activists, it makes you wonder how damaging it could be in future campaigns. Like, what if Reform UK campaigners refuse to trust one another or work with one another because of this tribal short-sightedness? They refuse to turn out for this particular candidate because, oh, they used to be a Conservative. No, we don't like those. It does actually cause genuine problems for parties like Labour at the local level. Again, I've seen it. It just usually doesn't cause problems in the key battlegrounds, so it doesn't affect the overall election very often, although there was quite a lot of infighting, which did not help in 2010. But that was not the main source of the loss. But what if this internal antagonism is very widespread and it does surface even in winnable constituencies? Because usually this tribal behaviour, though deeply annoying where it surfaces, tends to be kept in check in other parties where a campaign is centred around a very tight contest. Because when the contest is winnable but not certain, people tend to be pragmatic. The activists will go, okay, well, you know, eyes on the prize, eyes on the prize. What if reform activists are not that pragmatic when it comes to it? What if political purity is more important to them than winning elections? And the letter also went on to support Rupert Lowe, of course. Now, he's a very interesting lightning rod for reform concerns at the moment. See, most people, most members of the public really don't know who he is. Even apparently most reform voters don't know who he is. But he's not only known but respected amongst the very active support of the party, specifically because he's not a compromiser. He's not pragmatic. Reform UK are engaged on an election strategy based on practical outcomes. But is this what their core support wants? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.